Welcome to Like a Doss, the podcast where Ronnie Doss will share with you insights around life, legacy, and leadership. For more information about our resources, visit our website at dossteam.com. Now let's join the podcast.
Well, hello everybody, it's Ronnie Doss. Welcome to episode 11 of Like a Doss. I'm so excited as always. I love these podcasts and I love the feedback that we're getting. So thank you guys so much for sharing it and doing what you're doing out there. It's making a difference, and I think people are getting a lot out of it. And so I've got Joel Bennett here with me, my main man. Joel, how are you, bud?
I'm doing great, Ronnie. Thanks for letting me be here with you again. This is exciting. We're up to episode 11, and I agree with you. I really want to echo what you're saying, that it's helping people. We're both getting comments, and people come up to us and say, this is some good teaching that I just haven't heard, but it's stuff that I can apply. Not just listen and applaud, but I can apply to my life. And I'm excited about that, Ronnie. It's good that I get to pick your brain and the wisdom just flies out. It's great.
Yeah, man. Well, good. So that's a good point. Applaud versus apply.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I said this past weekend. I spoke this past weekend at a church, and I said, you know, if you live for applause, you die when it gets quiet. And, you know, a lot of times we're doing what we're doing just to get the applause of a lot of people. And that's not what it's about. I think that really what I wanted to do with this podcast was to just, you know, share insights that people could really take and hopefully immediately do something with. I'm not trying to wow people with, you know, stories and a few little points and all that stuff. I just like having real conversation. And I think people are appreciating that and seem to be getting a lot out of it. So thanks for you, man. I know this is an investment of your time, so I appreciate you very much. So
I love doing it. I love doing it. And let's jump into it. You ready?
Yeah, let's do it, man. What's your deck of cards say today? What you got?
I've been thinking a lot lately about customer service, and that most of us are involved in customer service. Probably nearly everyone is involved in customer service at some point, meaning that you deal with people. And it's how we deal with people that makes a difference in our lives. Are we all in the customer service business, in a sense, with our communication?
Well, I mean, absolutely. I mean, I think everything that you're doing, you're selling yourself in some way to someone else. If you want relationship, which are, you know, the 5 basic needs of life, you know, acceptance and love and all these different things, you've got to be good with other people. And some people aren't naturally gifted when it comes to communication. They're not naturally gifted when it comes to, let's say, a personality that's more outgoing. But I think if you want to be successful, that you've got to learn to work with and deal with people well. Now, that doesn't mean that you aren't going to have to walk alone. There are going to be times where you're going to have to walk alone. You're going to have to focus on what you need to focus on and do what needs to be done. But I think in essence, you can have the greatest product in the world, service, whatever it is that you do, whether it's even graphic design or web design, whatever. If you don't know how to communicate with people and really kind of sell yourself and what it is that you're offering, man, you're going to miss out a lot. You know, I've even heard pastors say to me, guys that are selling the story of Jesus, they say, hey, the man is more important than the message. And when I first heard that, Joel, I didn't really believe that. I thought, no, the message is what's so important. But the point of it is that if a person does not accept the man, or if people don't accept the man or the woman, so to speak, they're not going to accept the message that they bring. And so how we show up, you know, really has a lot to do with how people, you know, perceive us and how they receive us and what doors open for us. And, you know, there's this old proverb, I've heard it so many times, that if you don't have a smile on your face, don't open a business. And, you know, and it's almost like if you can't put a smile on your face, don't put up a storefront or some bricks and mortar, because people are really looking at you. And I think you've got to remember that the best thing that you can do is put a smile on your face, learn to look people in the eye, and communicate well. And if you have some judgment, if you have some prejudice on people, or you think for some reason that you were born on the right side of the tracks and that you have it figured out in some way because of what your parents did or your uncle did or what your name is, that you're just going to have it, you know, handed to you. You know what, you might be good because of what's been handed to you, but you'll never do anything great with it and leave any kind of a legacy. You've got to get off of yourself, so to speak. You've got to get off of this pedestal that you might put yourself on and realize that if you really want to do well and really create something that's going to be significant, you know, when you get that, you're going to have to get down amongst the people, so to speak, and get good with people. And, I just think it's so important for us to remember that and just know that the more value we can add to ourselves, the more value we can add to the marketplace. And I always tell people, enhance your conversation. Get good at speaking well to other people. And some people don't. They think that, just because I've got it in my head, that makes it okay. And it's not. You've got to learn to convey information and ideas in such a way that people go, oh, I can get that. I understand what it is that you do. Don't sell your product. Sell the solution that your product offers. And so, anyway, that's getting more into the sales side of it. But customer support, customer service, it's almost like it's the new marketing. I've heard that. So many people talk about, it's tough to get a customer. Well, yeah, it is tough to get a customer, but it's also tough to keep a customer. Right? But I'd rather keep a customer than have to go out and find a new one. And the way that you keep a customer is through customer service, serving people. And you've got to get good at that, or else you're just going to turn and burn a bunch of people, and you'll develop a reputation for that. And it doesn't mean you have to chase people, but what you can do is look in the mirror and say, what can I get better at? Communication, listening, kindness, compassion, giving, doing all these kind of things for the community so that people in the community see you as a person that's valuable in the community and that you care about other people, someone other than just yourself. And many times it's easy to not do that.
Man, a story that goes right along with that was I recently had a gentleman come out and work on my air conditioning at my home. Both units were just in a shambles. And he came and fixed them. And then came another time in about 2 weeks after that when another part had gone out. Incredible worker, sweating his hiney off. Loved this guy. And the price was right. And everything was great. But when I had to deal with his office, it wasn't him. It was his office. And his people that were there, they were loud, rude, talked over me. It was unpleasant. And I would hate to think, this guy has worked his hiney off to try to get good business, but the people he surrounded himself with aren't delivering, and he could not, he might not be able to keep a customer. Wow. How is that? How do we do that? How do we pick the right teammates then?
Well, obviously you gotta enroll, engage feedback. And I would call that guy out as fast as I could. And I'd say, hey, man, I'm doing you a service here. You came over. You did a great job. You did what you needed to do. But can I offer you a little feedback? As you're paying the guy, as you're giving him money, say, I'm giving you this because, man, you earned it. You did your job. But can I give you a little feedback that might help you? Chances are you say yes. You can ask him this question. This is a powerful question that you can ask in sales when it's time to close the deal. You can say, can I make a recommendation? Usually people will go, yeah, sure. What they've done is they've given you permission to close them or to share the idea that you have with them. When you're striking a check to someone, making a payment to someone, and you say, hey, here's this. Can I offer a little insight? Chances are they're very open at that point because they see that it has value because there's money involved. I'd tell this guy straight up, hey, man, you did a great job, but your office sucks. It does. I'm sorry. It stinks. I don't want to deal with your office. I wouldn't use you again. And you came out here and you worked hard. So just for you, so that you know, and I'm sure you want to do better. This is how I'd talk to him. I'd let him answer it. You do want to grow your business. Yeah, because that's a good thing, right? Make it light. You do want to do better. Right. Absolutely. Good, man. So here's the deal. Your office has to do better because, what you're trying to shovel out, out front, you got 3 or 4 people that are shoveling things out the back door. What you're trying to shovel in, they're pushing out. And so anyway, I'd let them know that for his sake. But for somebody that's listening to this going, man, what do I need to do is if that's the case with me, man, you got to take feedback from people. You got to ask. When I did the thing with NASA, there's a performance review that we did on it. And that means I get to find out what these people liked, what they didn't like, what they think I can do better, what they really appreciated. And I'm going to use that to tighten up, to go back and do it again. If you are so immature, if you are so sensitive to someone telling you how you can do something better, I will go ahead and speak to your future and tell you if that is a problem that you have, then you are only going to be minimally successful. If people have to handle you with kid gloves because you're like so sensitive to somebody saying, you know what, this kind of stinks, man, you could do this better or that better, you're only going to get so far. You need to take feedback, look at it and go, can I grow from this? Can I get better? because it's about serving people. That's what customer service is. Einstein said it. I think it was Einstein. I'm pretty sure it was Einstein that said, don't try to be a success. Just try to be a person of value. And the way that you become more valuable is to work on the things that bring value to what it is that you do. And you have to have a great product, yes, but you need to put a smile around it and just be kind. And there are times where you have to I was doing some coaching this past week with somebody who said, hey, this person came into our office and they had a really sour attitude and they were trying to get everybody else bought into the attitude. And basically I just said, you can go. And that's what this person told me that they did. And I was like, hey, good for you. That's great. Because they're very kind. They're very clear. But, you've got to be good at saying these are the values that we stand for. And one of the greatest values is just simply kindness. And be kinder than you need to be and look like you're happy and you're enjoying what you do. And when you do that, people are drawn to that. And I think that's one way to develop more customers.
I think we also, it tells a lot about ourselves by how we treat people who can do absolutely nothing for us. Mm-hmm. Is that true?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, Brian Tracy always said that. He goes, people that really make a big difference in the world are looking to create solutions for the world. People that aren't really ever hugely successful are always asking, what's in this for me? And I think that's true. I mean, I know that when you're just starting out, I can say, even a few years ago starting out, and it is going, man, what am I going to get out of this? Am I going to be able to do this? Because I need to pay the bills. I got to keep the lights on. I got to put food on the table. Of course, there's that thought. Don't think that, hopefully, if you're listening to this, you're not thinking, well, Ronnie's saying that, we don't even have to think about anything. We're just to be kind all the time. No, you have to be smart. You have to be shrewd in some ways. But ultimately, you've got to decide that you catch more flies, so to speak, with honey than you do vinegar, so to speak. And a lot of people, just because they think they're entitled to it, they don't have to be nice, they don't have to smile, and they don't act like they're grateful. No matter what you're doing, it doesn't matter if it's marriage, it doesn't matter if it's with your kids, it doesn't matter what. If you focused on being grateful and put a smile on your face, man, good things happen. Not all the time. Things stink sometimes, but good things happen. And so you've got to look to be of service, not always being served. And people, I was sharing this with somebody I was coaching today. I said, in the beginning, people always talk about, I want to be used. I want to be useful. I want somebody to use me for something. And then they start complaining about how much they get used. You got to put yourself out there to be of service and be okay, because there are going to be times where people take advantage of you. But if you will throw more good out there than negative, I think the universe that God created responds to that.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah.
I think also that when in our approach to people, and this give me a chance to talk about Life Legacy. If you're out there and you're not involved in Life Legacy, go to DOSteam.com, sign up for Life Legacy. And Ronnie this month is speaking on relationships. And some of these things are, we're cross-pollinating here because that's the way life is. All areas are really connected. But if you want to hear some great stories and some great insight on relationships, get signed up for Life Legacy. But someone I was speaking with just last night was talking about how people have dealt with her. And she said, I finally am beginning to realize the difference between honest opinion and compliments and flattery. And flattery is a real turnoff. She's saying this is not what I want to be and not how I want to be treated. How do you deal with flattery?
Well, look, man, I think it's not how you deal with it. You just got to look at yourself and say, who do I want to be? You got to be authentic. I mean, there's something really valuable about being your authentic self. I noticed today, it was kind of the joke. We were kidding around. I've started doing kickboxing with my wife, Jen, and, she's intense and she's good. Well, I started doing the classes, as you know, last about 2 weeks ago. And, they've been kicking my tail, man. I mean, in a lot of ways, but I know it's one of the ways I'm only going to get better. But there was a lady that was watching me in one of the classes who came up and said, hey, I got to acknowledge you, man. You stuck with it. You were in it. And we did this 90-minute, kickboxing class. And so she came up and acknowledged me. And the first thing I wanted to do was make a joke and go, whatever. Yeah, I got through it. But then I thought, you know what? This person went out of their way to come and say, hey, I noticed that you stuck it out. And, that was great. And so I went, thank you very much for saying that. I appreciate it. It was tough, but hey, we got through it. And I have learned to do that more in how I even receive something, that if I can receive something authentically and just simply say thank you, then what happens is I value that. And what I've then learned is to go, hey, if this is how I need to be when I receive a compliment, this is also how I should be when I give one. And I think authenticity is very real. And I think you always need to, I think we, not just you, I think we all need to ask ourselves, what's the motive behind this? Am I just trying to get something from somebody? You know, the old saying is, you know, leaders build people. You know, people that are wannabes simply use people to build an agenda. There's a big difference. You know, you actually are building people or you're using people to build an agenda. And I think that when you really authentically care about people, you put that out. I think that's what you get more of. And yes, there are going to be people that try to schmooze you and will tell you what you want to hear. But, you know, honestly, man, Joel, I try not to create a lot of space for that around me. You know, now going out and speaking and creating some success like I have, there are people that are always like, oh, you're so great, and that's nice. But, you know, I appreciate it when somebody really comes to me and goes, man, this really, what you said, it really impacted me. I mean, you know, I listened to your message and what you said, and boy, this was really great for me. And that means more to me than somebody goes, oh, you're the man. I'm like, well, okay, great. Well, that's cool. But, you know, what is it? And so I just think that it's important to really be authentic and to really, you know, kind of look at yourself and say, hey, you know, what's my motive behind saying what I'm going to say? And is it really to build somebody up, or is it really just to hope that they like me?
Yeah, as a gain for you instead of a gain for them.
Sure. I mean,
Yeah.
it goes from being a compliment to really sow into someone, to give to someone. It really goes from being a give to almost a kind of a take. Because it's almost like, and I've heard people say this, I hate when I open the door for somebody and they don't say thank you. And I go, well, then you weren't opening the door for them. You were opening the door for you. Because that way you did what you needed to do because you needed some kind of a response to feel something in you that was missing. When you surrender to that, you'll go open the door, you'll go serve, you'll go do whatever. And you're not worried about how somebody responds. You're doing this as an expression of who you are in the universe. There's a big difference. And when you kind of get that in how you show up daily, you just do what you do to do it because that's who you are. It's an expression of who you are. It's not a get. I'm not trying to manipulate you. Now, if I'm always doing for my team, if I'm always doing for someone and they never reciprocate or never say thank you or whatever, at some point I might go, wow, they don't seem to be too appreciative. But I think a majority of the time, we just need to simply be doing what we're doing out of kindness and to be, you know, be the light, so to speak.
That's good. I think also that, you know, getting back on this customer service, we're always dealing with people, whether we're in charge of an office, you know, as a chiropractor, or if you're a speaker like you are, but you're always continuing to not only find new relationships, but cultivate those. There are going to be times in these relationships, because we're going to have thousands in our lifetime of connections and things. We might not be liked. It might not be something that we will turn someone off for some reason. We will do something that will make them not like us, and we don't get the like button hit or whatever. But our integrity and our personality will carry us through that. Can you help me? If how do I deal with people that don't like me, even though I'm trying?
Well, you can't. I mean, come on. If you're giving your best, that's all you can do, man. I mean, Jen and I were having this conversation today, and we talk a lot. I mean, we're always in conversation about, you know, this kind of stuff and just the world. Both of us, fortunately, I've made a career of it, but, you know, and fortunately, she's the kind of person that really enjoys these conversations as well. But, you know, I think the main thing is not your personality, not how well you schmooze people, not how much charisma you have. I think people are attracted to you not because of those things. I think people are attracted to you because you really give a crap, because you care. And if you really just say, I'm going to do these things because I care about people and I'm doing this for the best of people, over time, you'll draw a greater crowd, have more influence, and have more people, clients, customers, than you know what to do with. You can't worry about how people respond. You know, I coach a lot of chiropractors. I coach a lot of, you know, real estate people. I coach, you know, all sorts of different folks. And sometimes, you know, I'll tell people, I'll say, hey, you have somebody that comes into your business and they'll stay with you, work with you for a while, but then they may leave. And that's okay. You got to be okay with that. You bless them coming in, bless them going out. Now, you don't want them to go, but they're going to. But you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what they're dealing with financially. You don't know what's going on in their relationships. They could just be having a tough time. You don't know. So don't make it about you. If you think that there's something, and this is the thing, always be asking for some kind of feedback or whatever. I think that's great. But I think at the end of the day, if you know that you're doing what you're doing because you care, and you've got a few people around you that are giving you some insights on maybe ways to do things better, I think that's about as much as you can do, Joel. I don't think that you can worry so much about people that aren't going to like you. I mean, think about it from the Christian standpoint. You might see Muslims that don't like Christians, or Jewish people that disagree, and so they don't associate with them, or Jehovah's Witnesses don't do that, whatever. All of us are, in so many ways, are so divided based on a mindset and a belief. And I just think it's so sad. And I think that what makes us different or unique, really, amongst all the noise and the clamor that's going on in the world, I think the thing that will really set us apart is to just be kind, just to give and to do and to say thank you and look people in the eye and encourage them. And whatever our product is that we're offering, just try to get a little bit better. And there's times that I listen to stuff that I create and I'm like, yeah, I'm getting better. And there's other times I listen and I'm like, I'm not getting as good as quickly as I want to. But, it's not for me. It's my responsibility is to work as hard as I can to get better and then put it out there and hope that it blesses people. And if that's what I do and do it well over time, I'm making a difference. And I think that's all that we can do. We can't be worried about the people, that didn't want the product or the service. So
While we're looking at getting feedback from people, we also need to measure ourselves and set goals for ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
1 week, 1 year, 5 years, 10 years, and in several different areas too, in maturity levels, in your financial goals, in your career goals, in your relation goals. How can I begin to set these goals? And we've talked about this some in the past, but it's not going to hurt us to revisit that. How can I measure myself?
Yeah, well, I think that you're always going to notice that you're growing, hopefully. Hopefully you have experiences with people and go, man, I would definitely not do that again. You know what I mean? I wouldn't have that conversation that way again. I wouldn't say that again. I guess overall, the way that you'd measure yourself in that, I guess one way could be like referrals. I mean, think about it. I mean, there's nothing better than a third-party validation of somebody going, you know what, this helped me. Or this guy's great. He worked with me. I know that you and I have had these conversations about working in television like you do. I mean, you meet people again and again that are kind of acquaintances that you know. But, when somebody says, hey, you should really take a look at this person. They've got something that's really unique. Man, that is worth so much more than any of your own advertising that you could do. And I think over time, one of the ways that you can look at how well you're doing is, do you feel that your long-term relationships are getting better? Are you still continuing to grow in those long-term relationships? I mean, are you just kind of developing relationships that last for just a little while and then they're over? Well, if that's the case, then maybe there's something there you really need to look at. But do you really have some long-term relationships? I mean, now that you're a grown-up, right? I know you are with me. It's like you need to have, hopefully you've got some good history with some people that you could count on that would validate you in the sense that, could use you as a reference. And I think that that's a big thing. I think you want referrals from people in your business. You want people talking about how well you're doing, and that's important. And I think you can gauge that. You can look around and look at your business and see, where did this person come from? Where'd that person come from? And word of mouth is obviously incredibly important. And you need to do marketing also. Don't get me wrong. But you've got to look at are people sharing what it is that you have done for them with others. And if they're not, maybe you just need to ask. It's just like on this podcast. It's like some people are like, man, I love this. I'm like, okay, are you sharing it with people? Share it, because somebody might get even more than you've gotten out of it. You don't know. And sometimes we can kind of get caught up in there and just think, well, it's just me. Let me see what I can get. But, you never know. You never, ever know. And so you just always want to look at what people are doing to carry your message on and your product and so forth on to other people. I think that's a great indicator.
I think that's fantastic. And again, to talk about this podcast, please do share that, because you might get 2 or 3 things out of it that go, man, that hit me right in the wheelhouse today. Mm-hmm. But there's maybe something that Ronnie said that someone needed so desperately that changes the outcome of their life, changes the whole trajectory. So feel free, please pass this along. One more thing I want to hit. I know we're getting near our time, but I want to talk about the integrity that you have to establish in your life. integrity is a blanket that will cover over a multitude of failures and mistakes that you make when you're genuine and when you are trying hard and you're saying, I'm going to put my best foot forward and I'm going to look for the best in other people and I'm going to, like you said, be kind. Give us if you can, kind of a guideline for developing that integrity and how we can measure ourselves in that, and then also how we can get away from some traits that we might have practiced in the past that make us not full of integrity, because that's going to carry us.
We all struggle with integrity in certain areas. I mean, you can be great when it comes to marketing your business. You can be great when it comes to talking to your spouse. You can be great when it comes to balancing your checkbook. When it comes to the integrity of how you treat yourself, how you eat, whether you exercise, whether you really know that, hey, you're telling people you have a spiritual walk, so to speak. We call it the spiritual walk, but you know that there's certain things that you can be doing that are really important, that for you to really feel that your integrity is that it's like you said, Joel, is that you're giving your best. And none of us are going to be perfect. I mean, I don't even have to say that. Oh my gosh. But you need to know that this is a process of you getting better. You can't keep circling the same mountain, the same problems with the same challenges again and again. I mean, if you keep having the same problems, you simply just have to ask for help. You got to say, hey, this is an area that I am struggling with. And when you have good people around you, man, you can do that. And so I think that having integrity and doing things to the best of your ability, giving your best. I mean, let me be really honest with the people that are listening to this podcast. I've never done this before. I've never been the guy that's getting called to go speak at different places. I haven't done this. This is my first time down this road. And so a lot of times it's like, I got to have the answers for other people. They're asking, and and there's this part of me going, man, I've got to figure out answers for me. And so I've got to be willing sometimes to go, hey, could use a little support here. What do you think about this? And fortunately, I have good friends around me like you. I've got, so many great friends that I look up to. Most of my friends are older than me, and they always have been, usually by about 10 to 15 years, that I could kind of glean some wisdom from and say, hey, I'm getting ready to go through this or deal with this. And that's important. But integrity is just doing the best you know how to do and really being honest with yourself and saying, yeah, I can do that better. And it doesn't matter if it's in your finances. It doesn't matter if in relationship. If you see that you're starting to get out of integrity, you got to do something about it. And if that means catching up on finances, catching up on tax stuff, I mean, for some people it's that. I know I've done that. I mean, it's a process, man. You got lots of stuff going on. It's like, man, I gotta straighten this stuff up. Giving your best as much as you can is really what growth is about, and maturing into this person. And it's, we've said it so many times, I'm not who I used to be, and I'm not who I'm going to be. And that's got to inspire you to say, hey, I'm still growing into something else. But you really do need to be able to look back at your life and go, I definitely wouldn't do that again. I've grown up some. I'm going to approach this a little bit differently. And there's lots of areas that you can do that in. But I think it's important. You got to like you. And I think one of the best ways to do that is really just simply to keep your agreements. Mr. Clemmer used to say there are no small agreements. I don't care what it is. No small agreements. If you can't keep the agreement, don't give your word. If you can't be there on time, don't tell somebody you're going to be there on time. Start keeping your word, and what will happen is your own consciousness, you'll start to have an integrity to where you can count on you. And man, that's how you get stronger, because then you're going out looking for situations and problems to solve, going, man, I believe in me. I can do this. And it's when you have that integrity about yourself, that not that you're perfect, but you're really working and getting better. You really do. I think it enhances your self-image. And man, that's how you become powerful in the marketplace. You become powerful in relationships. So yeah.
Wow. Strong finish on Like a DOS, episode 11.
Guys, thank y'all so much. This was awesome. Hope you enjoyed this. Joel, great question, man. I think this will help people a lot, customer service, and appreciate you guys. If you would, share the podcast with those people that that are in your sphere of influence, your contacts and so forth. Hopefully some people will be really blessed by this, but we appreciate you so much. And if you have any questions for me, if you'd like me to talk about anything in particular or specific, you can email me, info at dosteam.com, and we'll start addressing some of that here in the future. But I appreciate you guys so much and look forward to talking to you again very soon. Take care.
Thank you for joining today's podcast. The Like a DOS podcast is released every first and third Friday of the month. For more information, visit our website at dosteam.com.